Hello everybody, welcome to this week's webinar. I'm here with Brenndan Cooper at Tiffany Green's Golf Club in Kansas City, Missouri. And as usual, we're brought to you by KickX Golf and Medicus Golf. You know, hopefully you had a chance to watch the PGA Championship last week. I know it was one of the best ones that I've seen in a long time. And so what we want to talk about are what we can learn from watching that. Now, if you have any questions, be sure to type them in the sidebar. And when we get done talking, we will certainly look at those questions, try to answer those for you as well. So when you watch these players this week, or last week in the PGA, and by the way, Jason Day was my pick for every major this year, so
you finally got one.
25%. I thought he would win every single major this year. But Jordan Spieth had to make a few more putts. It just didn't happen. At the end of the day, you look at Jason Day. It's a driver wedge on a par 5. That's deep.
That's pretty good. And you figure, with Spieth's score of 17 under, that would have won it every year except for 2000 and 2006, I believe. So, it's not like Spieth wasn't playing, all that bad either. That just shows you how good Day was hitting it.
Yeah, but if you notice, after the, I don't remember if it was the second or the third round, Jason Day went down to go back to the range, and he had his alignment sticks down, and he went to the very same pre-shot on the practice range that he's doing on the golf course.
Yeah.
So a couple things we can learn from there. One is they are always real fastidious about how they set up to the golf hole. They do not move the club until they're set. Number two is they all have a pre-shot of some kind. Jason's was, he would kind of hold his glove like this and hold his right hand, and you'd see him take a deep breath, close his eyes, and what he's doing is visualizing the shot, the start line, the trajectory, where it's going to land. Which is all things that you have to have. You have to have some sort of visualization. And then once he did that, and he was clear, he would start up, he would get up to the golf ball, he'd put the left hand on, take the right hand back off, do it again. He'd make a couple of waggles, but he always made a little preview waggle here, then he took it back and hit it. So if you're someone, let's say, that jerks the club way inside, you might do well to have a little pre-shot where the club stays out. Get a feel of this, and I'll try to do that and just continue on to the opposite.
Yeah, there's definitely some things you can incorporate with what it is you're working on, per se, for your swing during your pre-shot routine. Not necessarily just doing practice swings, but like Chuck said, if you've got something on the takeaway part, you can incorporate that feel before you hit it.
Right, and if you look at Jordan, he's always going like this and like this. Right, he makes little half swings. You get a feel of where he wants this club going from there to there.
Yeah.
Right, so they all have these little idiosyncrasies, if that's what you want to call them. I mean, Gary Player, he would set up and he'd kick this knee in, and that would get him his start back. Jack Nicklaus would come up, he'd pick an intermediate target behind the golf ball and in front of the golf ball, and he'd get set, and you'd see it. He'd look, do this 2 more times, look, do it 2 more times, then take it back and hit it. So everybody has something. But they're doing it for a reason, not just doing it to do something.
Yeah, they're not doing it because they think it looks good.
Right.
They're definitely getting in the mindset, trying to get in the moment, if you will, of what shot they're trying to hit, and they're trying to get themselves, like you said earlier, trying to get set to execute the shot.
Right.
Where people that we work with day in and day out, it's, well, show me your pre-shot routine. And they just walk up and, they're dancing and they go, So, there's a lot to be said for having a routine, because, we hear it day in and day out. Well, I hit good on the range, but when I go on the golf course, all heck breaks loose. Well, that's because you don't have a routine.
Right. And you're hitting it to the range, which is, 400 yards wide.
Yeah, it's a wide target area.
Yeah. So you need to focus that area. Have your alignment sticks. Put those down. And remember, that alignment stick is not pointed at your target. Okay, it's pointed parallel left of your target, so you can get set up to it.
Exactly.
And while we like to call it pre-shot routine, you have to also remember that routine, and we use that in golf vernacular, and in reality, no 2 shots are the same. So pre-shot, as in Kerry Mumford used to talk about, for years and years and years, it's a mental game. You go through your pre-shot, and again, if it's just a normal, I would say it'd be routine if you're hitting a driver, because it's teed up, so you probably pretty much have the same line. But if you watch all these players, they're not trying to play shots that are beyond their power, right, or beyond their skill level, let's say. If they've always faded it or drawn it, that's what they're doing. They're not trying to hit a lot of shots that are not in their wheelhouse.
Right.
So, their setup and their execution, and they are so much better. But they're better because they do all the little things better.
Yeah, and that's something, especially our young players, that we tell them a lot, is pay attention to the little things. I mean, it's those little details, those little things that mean a ton. But you really got to get your mindset and have the right mental, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but mental focus to pay attention to those things.
Yeah. Because if you pick out, let's say, your intermediate target line, and you come up to it, you just set the club down, and you just start setting your body. And well, pretty soon this isn't on your intermediate target line. Right? So you have to be. Ernie Els, when he gets up there, when he gets up, you can see him. He just he's wiggling, getting set in the shot. That's part of his pre-shot, right? But you have to make sure, take the time, because every golfer on the planet can look as good as any tour player at a dress.
Oh yeah.
It takes zero athletic ability to look good at a dress.
Yeah. The big thing that for those of you watching, get in the habit when you're on the range hitting balls or you're practicing, even if you're hitting chip shots or whatever, go through your routine just like you're on the golf course. Don't just hit and rake, hit and rake, hit and rake. Go through your routine, because if you don't have one, it's going to take some time to get used to that.
Right.
You're going to have to find a certain timing, if you will, of what it takes. If you're behind the ball, go through that part, get set up. There's a certain flow that's got to happen, and so there's going to be some times there where you've got to get in that flow. So you've got to practice that on the range.
Right. And we would encourage you to go to YouTube and type in and search for Roy McIlroy pre-shot practice or range practice, and then Jordan Spieth's range.
Yeah.
Because what you'll find is that they get there an hour 10, hour 15 minutes before their time, and they'll hit about 90 balls, 90 to 110, depending on, and that includes putts. But they'll hit anywhere from 50 to 70 wedge shots of different distances. And they do a lot of putting. They may hit 8 to 10 drivers. That's it.
Yeah.
So look at some of that stuff, and look how the world's best players get loose for a round.
Yeah.
They set their line of 6 down. They set themselves up to hit a target. They go through their pre-shots.
Yeah.
And then they'll adjust what target they're hitting to. They'll also, if they know they have to curve the ball both ways that day, you'll also see them hitting draws, hitting fades, and whatever their primary shot is, both those guys are a draw. But there's going to be times when they hit a fade as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just need to watch and really, really pay attention to the little things you're doing.
Yeah.
Most people come out here to play golf. They have a 10 o'clock tee time. They get here at 9:55.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. They pay. They run down the range. They pick up a couple of range balls. They take a driver. They bash them, and they're off to the first tee.
Yeah. They may hit one putt. They might hit one.
Maybe. And then by the 9th hole, when they get to the 9th hole, now they're loose.
Yeah. They're good to
So,
go.
Yeah, give yourself some time.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what kind of questions we got here today. So our first question is from Dave P. I'm interested in the backswing. How do you set it up, weight transfer, then the forward swing? Well, go ahead, Brenndan.
Well, we'll get it set like this here. So I'll start by facing up here. So on the setup part, when you start the backswing, we want to feel, right now I feel pretty balanced. I mean, if you're like 60-40 or 50-50, that's fine. We're not going to get into great details exactly where everything is. But when I start to go back, I'm going to feel some pressure kind of move from the middle more towards the back foot here. So as I start to go, I'm feeling some pressure change. Now, notice when I go, I'm not trying to move everything this way because now obviously I don't have a steady head anymore. But I'm feeling the pressure. Notice I keep saying pressure, not weight. Okay, so I'm going to feel a little bit more pressure go in my back foot here. And now to start the downswing, I'm going to move that pressure from the right foot or my back foot towards my front foot, just like that. And that's kind of the transition feel there, right, as far as from the backswing to the downswing. Right. Try to feel a little bit of a pressure shift there.
But you show that drill we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, if you take a rod or a club and put it right up under your chin, get a little closer here. So you can see I've got this running straight up and down here. So now when I make a backswing, this lower part is going to hit my back right thigh here. So really all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take this piece here and I'm trying to shift it over to my left thigh like that. And you'll notice that the part on my chin stayed right here where it should. I'm not going to go this way with it. I'm just going to go, that's all I'm doing. Right. You know, right. It's not a lot, but to some people it may feel like a lot.
Yeah, and where you shift this pressure to your trail leg, whether it's, you know, the ball of the foot, the toe, or the heel, is going to have a dramatic impact also on how far your hips can turn, okay, your pelvis rotation, and that's then going to affect backswing and or downswing.
Exactly.
So whichever one's right for you, don't know without seeing you.
Yeah, it's tough to say, but definitely if you can feel those, what you're talking about, just without getting into a lot of, you know, path and all that, right, just a general idea of what kind of starts what, that's going to give you the feel.
Right, right. All right, so let's see what our next question is here. All right, so our next question is from Air. How do they pull off impossible shots? Well, they practice those. And that's what they use practice rounds for. So, you know, it's like that bunker shot Jordan had on whatever it was, 16, 17. Where he couldn't put his feet in the bunker. I mean, you could hear him talking to his caddy saying, this is really hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you put yourself in those positions when you're either not playing competitive golf or even when you're playing. Part of your practice is trying to hit shots that you wouldn't normally hit.
Yeah.
All right, so you figure out how to do that. In that particular shot, he knew, since he couldn't get these feet in, and I can't do it, but he knew how low that he had to get down in there. Well, when you get that low and you open the face, basically all you're moving is your arms.
Yeah.
You're not moving. You don't have a big, you know, pressure shift or anything else.
Well, those guys, you know, they're at such a high level that, you know, they know that rule one is they're trying to get face on ball. They're trying to make ball contact. So in that situation, what Chuck was saying is he's literally, you saw him at one point, he got both feet down in the sand, he got up, and, you know, he was doing all sorts of stuff. He's just trying to figure out what's the best way I can stand to where I can put this face on that ball. Yeah.
Or the sand.
Or the sand, yeah. And, you know, those guys, they can hit some miraculous shots, but then again, there's a lot of guys that you don't see on TV that are trying the same thing that aren't pulling it off.
Right. You know? But it can also be said that sometimes, I mean, as good as that shot was of Jordan's, which was a difficult shot, what about the shot that Jason did when he laid the sod right over with a pitching wedge? He did it 45 yards.
Yeah.
He hit it fat. All right, so even from perfect lies, even the world's best players are going to miss shots.
Yeah.
So, you know, Hogan once said that you know, if he played his best round of golf, he might hit 4 or 5 shots exactly the way he wanted. The difference between those players and the rest of us is their misses are in a much more constrained area generally.
Yeah.
Whereas ours are not so much.
It's a little wider.
A little wider. All right, let's see what the next question is. Okay, this is from John in Boynton Beach. Can you explain the transition from the top? And are there any feelings like keeping your back to the target, focus on the ball, back of the ball, blah, 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 that can help us make a better transition? Well, we kind of just talked about that, John, but depending on your downswing issue, that's gonna change the feel of what your transition might feel.
Mm-hmm.
If you're someone that gets to the top and your transition is going this way, in other words, you have too much shoulders in the downswing, you may feel like you get to the top you move a little bit of hip and just drop the arm. That's what you may feel like.
Right.
Somebody that's hooking it too much may have just the opposite feeling. They may feel like they're going this way a little more to bring the path not as much.
Right.
Some people feel like they push off with their trail foot. Some people feel like from here that they lean into their left knee, left foot. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Austin, who was a legendary teacher, great ball striker, his whole thing was as you turn back and to start the downswing, you take your right hip and you move it toward the golf ball, which moves your left hip back. Some people get here and they feel like they're going to pull the left hip back to start the downswing. So there's a lot of different ways to do it depending on your issue.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Looks like we may have one more, or that might have been the last one. Okay, that was the last one. Thanks for letting me walk up here, Diana. Okay. Anyway, hope you had fun. Be sure to send us your questions. You know, we want to get those answered for you as well as topics. Chiefs are on tonight, so it's, you know, red.
Thank goodness.
Red. Until next time. Oh, next week, seminar is going to be called Samenesses and Differences.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so you guys think about that and see if you can figure out what we're talking about, and we'll see you next week.